building healthy relationships, in terms of really growing with not only your faith, but your kindness and your goodness, growing in love and peace and humility. My guy Howie is going to start with his testimony, and he's going to show you what an example he's been, not only the last couple of years in sobriety, but ultimately what he's been able to do, which is amazing. Since March of this past year, and how he's changing people's lives, and how not only giving them purpose is helping him get his. So without further ado, let's hand it over to Howie.
I'm Howie, I'm an addict.
What's up, Howie?
So I got this little piece of paper in front of me. It's supposed to keep me on track, because I know you guys know I like to talk.
That's why we wrote that's why we did it.
Guideline. So I'm going to start with what brought me into recovery. Basically, I was from the East Coast. If you guys don't know, I don't say water. I say water. 2016, I was in one of my many detoxes, and I had met this staff member. And, oh, yeah, it's one of the best pictures I could find. I figured...
You look like you weighed like 120 pounds in that picture.
I was pretty light. Yeah, I don't remember what I was. I actually remember that picture. Like, just before that, my daughter had walked in on me, and I had a needle in my arm. And I figured I'd take a selfie. I don't know why. I'm surprised I had a phone, actually. But, so 2016, that was a little after that. 2016, I went to a shelter up in Alfred, Maine. And I met this staff member, and I was always drawn to women for some reason, and just kind of connected better, easier to talk to. I didn't want to talk to other guys, you know. And she was like a staff member, so she's supposed to help me, right? And lo and behold, I got out of treatment, and we hooked up, and she wasn't clean at all. And we were off and running, and... So actually, this girl's name was Bethany, which I was thinking about when I drove down the driveway.
I thought of that too last night, yeah.
And we just kind of partied. We just ran amok, you know. We thought we were living life. And a few years went by. You know, we were living in Maine in a little tiny town called Sanford, Maine. There's no cops. There's like one sheriff. The closest gas station was probably 15 minutes if it wasn't snowing away. If it was snowing, you were looking at like 30, 40 minutes away. And we just hid in the woods and just got high. That's all we did, you know. Most of the time you'd hear noises outside. It wasn't people, it was deer, you know, fox. It was literally in the middle of nowhere. And in this little shack of a trailer, you guys ever seen hoarders? You ever seen the ones where they're like, they don't clean anything? That's what it was. And it wasn't even ours. It was just like, hey, we're going to take this bed, mattress on the floor, set up so that I didn't even have to get out of bed to get high. I'd roll over, get high, go back to bed, you know? And that was like our daily routine. We would leave maybe to meet the dope guy. But we'd always try to get him to come there so we didn't have to go anywhere. I thought I was fine with it, you know? And it wasn't, you know, the whole house smelled like shit. Plumbing didn't work. Dogs were shitting everywhere. There was kids there. There definitely shouldn't have been kids there. And for a while, I thought it was great, you know. It was real great. And then, Jesus, that's a bad one too, huh? They just asked me for pictures. I just threw a couple up there. But went to bed. I can't say I even went to sleep. You know, I would get high enough to fall asleep or pass out for a little while. And this one day I woke up and Bethany was no longer alive. And she was, it's weird calling her Bethany. Beth was dead. And stone cold blue, open eyes, the whole bullshit that you see in the movies. And the first thing I did, I didn't like panic. The first thing I did was grab the bag and got high, or tried to get high. And I didn't get high. I knew I had to call somebody because I wasn't that much of a dirtbag, you know? So I called the sheriffs. It took a long time to get there, and I just sat there and just stared. And it was fucked up. Sorry, am I supposed to swear?
You can say whatever you want.
Cool. It was fucked up. But at that point, And I don't remember if I said it out loud, but I said either inside, outside, or whatever, I said, I'm done, you know, I gotta do something different. And the sheriffs asked me if I wanted to ride somewhere, and I told them to bring it to the train station. And that's where they brought me. I didn't know where I was gonna go. All I knew is I needed to get out of the woods. I wanted to be as far away from that as possible. I knew there was going to be a whole bunch of blame game going on, you know, and there still was. I haven't talked to that family since it happened, and they still blame me for it, you know.
So you get out of there, and where do you end up? Where do you go?
Hopped the train south because that was the last stop on the train, so I went south to Boston. And I didn't know where I was going to go. I knew I had to go somewhere. So my goal was to either get arrested so that I would be safe, or to go to treatment or detox. At this point, I just wanted to go somewhere so I couldn't be alone with myself. And that's what I did. So I started calling people. Meanwhile, I was getting high on the train. I didn't go to the bathroom and try and hide it. I was like getting high in the middle of the train. And because I wanted somebody to call the cops so that the next stop, the cops would come on and take me off. And that's what I foreseen happening. I was like, well, if I just openly get high on the train, like, they'll come and get me, right? Like, you would think they would, right? No. I just, all the way down to Boston. Every bed that I called was full. Mind you, I had every detox in Massachusetts on speed dial, because I had been to every single one of them multiple times.
And which one did you end up at?
Ultimately, well, I ended up at one, and then I got kicked out of it. We won't go there. But I ended up at one that's called High Point Treatment Center in Brockton, Massachusetts, which ultimately was my #1 favorite detox, because they had Fish Fridays and they had a good salad bar. And when I got there, I had a message on my phone in the meantime when I was in detox, and I had called them probably 15, 20 times on the way down, and there was a message that said, Howie, where the fuck are you? Let us know that you're alive. We have a bed for you. And first of all, the fact that we're on first name basis with all the case managers, like, said something. You know what I mean? Like, I showed up, and they looked at me and they said, what's wrong? What's different? And I told them what happened, and they said, okay. Are you willing to listen? I said, I'm willing to do whatever you guys fucking tell me. I said, I'm done. And I said, if I tell you I'm not, remind me that I told you this. And they had to remind me a bunch of times.
So this is when you ultimately you surrendered
100%.
to recovery.
Yeah. Or to whatever that looked like.
Right.
I was done. Yeah.
And then you had a caseworker. You had a pretty cool relationship with. This person helped you out big time. Who was that?
Her name was Fallon. We only had, I didn't know, it was like one of the caseworkers that I didn't know from that place. So it was kind of cool. She was like fresh, she didn't know Howie's story. And she, one of the things was, okay, you're going to have to take suggestions. You're going to have to listen to us. You're going to have to be willing to try shit that you don't want to try, that you've never tried, that you're uncomfortable doing. And I said, just tell me what I got to do. And she asked me to put my story down on paper. So I just took it as I got to write down from the very beginning everything on paper, right? So like 4 or 5 days went by, and she goes, hey, how's that writing coming? Like, would you stop? And I'm like, I'm still fucking writing, Turns out she faxed it to a treatment facility, and they scholarshiped me. And I don't even know if they read the whole thing. I'd be surprised if they did. But I was allowed to go to this place called the Brook Retreat in Plimpton, Mass. Not to be confused with Plymouth, Mass. It's right next door.
And this is ultimately where it started to take off, right? You bought into the program. You bought into recovery. You surrendered. You started working the steps. You got a sponsor. Yeah. What was that like? Because this is the first time you started working the steps, correct?
No, I bullshitted my way a few times. Yeah. I had been in and out of the rooms. I had a little bit of tastes of recovery, and I never actually worked truly and honestly like dug deep down inside to actually find out, why Howie did what Howie did, and why I always ran, why I was always afraid of who I really was, and so yeah, they provided us a sponsor, one of the house managers that was there, and it was a big house. It was a guy's house. We had 24 people in the house, so it was kind of chaotic. But every time I would, put up a resistance to what they said, they would remind me, like, listen, you're here because you said you would be willing to do anything, and I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Yeah. And I got into the step work, and we had like 4-hour blocks of every day where like you had to be doing step work. You were in the book. Yeah. Yeah.
So long story short, you end up somehow in California, which is another story for another day, right? Yeah, another wild story. But you end up in California, and then you ended up, because recovery, you ended up working at a local, at My Time.
I did. I worked at My Time for a little bit, yeah. I worked with Steve W. I was a detox tech over at the Rialto House, and it was cool.
And this is kind of like when you really started to get into recovery out here in California. You started to really, find more of a purpose. Mm-hmm. You're helping people. You help Steve start HA. You're running Fresno Fellowship there for a while. Yeah. Tell us about some of those meetings and how much of an impact they had on your life.
So being of service was huge. I started getting to service before I came to California, but coming out here, there, Fresno Fellowship is huge. They got like 30-something meetings a week. Yeah. So I went to one of their business meetings. They said, hey, we need some spots. We need some people to secretary some meetings. So I just said, yeah, let's do it. So I secretaried the House Bill Sees It meeting for, 2 terms, maybe about a year, and just got as deep into it as I could. Everything I did since I came to California has been recovery related.
And then in March 2024, this past year, tell everyone what you started and how amazing FA is.
I can't take all the credit.
Huh?
Danny over
There's that knucklehead.
Yeah. So it was actually in December. We had left a meeting, and we were like, you know what? There's got to be something that's more open to everybody. Fentanyl's killing people. It doesn't matter what you do, what you get high on. Fentanyl's just killing people. And and it's the number 4 sought after drug in the country right now. So we started looking around, and lo and behold, it had never been done before. So I just took it as a sign, man. Like I literally told him, I said, like if it was meant to be, like we're gonna do it, dude. So we filed, and it went through the smoothest thing I've ever done in my life. It just happened. What I mean? It just flowed. So here we are.
Here we are.
Our first meeting was at First Street Church, March 4th.
It was, 150 people there?
I think they said they stopped counting at 175 or something. Yeah. So it was huge, and it's still pretty big every week.
It's huge. How many FAs are there here in town? There's 3, right? 3?
Yeah.
So what are those? 4. What are those meetings? What are the times and dates and what locations?
Monday 6:30, First Street Church. Sunday night, North Point 6:30, and the second and third Thursday downtown at the old Beehive at 5:30.
Now, when you guys started FA, because it's a 12. I mean, explain to everyone just the base of it. How it is a 12-step program, and how it's a nonprofit, right? And that you guys are not just a 12-step program, but you guys are in how many states?
I think we're at 9 or 10 in Canada right now.
That's right.
I think it's a total of like 17 or 18 meetings already since March, and we keep getting requests for new meetings. I'd say at least weekly now. It's we get a lot of people reach out to us, family members that are struggling and stuff. What can we do? How can we help?
And this just really started with just a conversation between you and Danny.
That was it. I call this guy at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like I've hung up the phone because he's been snoring. He's falling asleep because he can't listen to me anymore. And but that's what this whole recovery thing's about, dude. Like I got people I can call at 2 in the morning.
That's right.
And listen to my bullshit and listen to me just cockamamie ideas. A lot of them he shuts down. He's like, dude, that's not gonna fly. But this was.
So are you guys gonna throw a fat party in March for 1 year?
We're thinking about it. I don't know. That's on Danny and the events crew.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What has FA taught you? Like what have you learned from?
Humility.
And explain that.
Just that I am no better than any person on this planet, and we all suffer through the same shit. And if somebody comes to me, I actually have a hand to lend. You know,
Yeah.
I don't. My nature was to judge everybody before I even met you. You know what I mean? Now I try not to judge anybody at any time because we all go through the same bullshit. You know, there's always somebody who can help. You know, and if I get that chance to do that, sure. You know what I mean? I'll never say no. If I can help you, I'll help you.
And I want to back up to, you know, Beth and your relationship with Beth,
Yeah.
the woman who passed away that you woke up next to. Have you tried to reach out to her family?
Yes.
Yeah. And how has that worked out?
Not very well.
No.
Just a lot of blame game. You know. It's
But
all
you're
your
doing
fault.
what you have to do, obviously.
I wrote it down. I spoke it
Yep.
out, and you know, ultimately, it wasn't my decision for her to use. You know, yes, we used together for years and years and years, and but I had to accept the fact that it wasn't my fault ultimately.
No,
You know?
absolutely not.